Ladies, gentlemen, and friends beyond the binary, at long last, I am back. Hello, everybody. Long time no see. Hey, everyone. My name is Tristan, and I am the host of the YouTube channel Step Back. And now I can say publicly, after many months of keeping it quiet, the host of the hot new the hot new podcast, It's Probably Not Aliens. An episode, a show that I'm very excited to show to the public. So, yeah. I hope that people have been checking it out and enjoying the show, because I have been, clandestinely putting a lot of work into these episodes, and I've been really wanting people to see them. So yeah, I'm glad I'm hoping that you guys get a chance to give it a listen. I stream here on Mondays and Tuesdays. Mondays from 12 till 2 Eastern Time, and Tuesdays from 7 till 9 Eastern Time. I go by he, him pronouns, and if you want to support my work, you can go to patreon.com/stepbackhistory. You could give me a subscription on Twitch Prime. If you have Amazon Prime, it's a free Twitch subscription. So that'll help me get, pay the bills. And of course, if you have a little bit of dosh that you want to throw my direction, you can also do super chats, bits, Twitch subscriptions, whatever works for you. Obviously, this content's free, so only do so if you want to help me keep making content. Which, I'm not hurting right now, so it's okay. Okay. Also, yeah, my latest video, if you haven't seen it, is called I Was So Wrong About Conspiracy Theories. It's very old. Well, it's about a month old. My next video, TBA on its completion date. It's already filmed, but I got a few weeks ago some surprise freelance work, so I need to get that freelance work finished by next week before I can get this video done. So yeah. How was your day? It was all right. I had a bit of a headache, so there's that. Hello from Puerto Rico. Hello, Fernando. Nice to meet you. My next video is going to be on overpopulation. It's already been recorded. I filmed it before I went on this wacky trip to Toronto for this freelance filming job. Freelance work, new Mex videos. No, I'm doing a filming job for a nonprofit. So last week I was in Toronto filming some people giving some talks, and I'm editing it so that they can use it for classrooms, basically. And yeah, we got here a link I'm going to put in the chat, which is going to lead to questions for future streams. So if you don't mind waiting around for a question, but you want to make sure it gets gotten to, you can submit it there. I have a lot of news because it's been like, God, how long has it been? It's been one, two. It's been 3 weeks since my last stream, so yeah. Please have my video out soon. Well, inshallah, if everything I do goes according to plan and nothing messes up, I could maybe on Friday edit the video. And then that would have me releasing it probably on Tuesday or Wednesday next week. But that has to have a few things go wrong in the right way for you guys. So more likely, I'm probably going to be finishing it, if I were to hazard a guess, probably more a week from then. So it'll probably be like Tuesday or Wednesday 2 weeks from now. So like the 26th or 27th, that kind of area. Just because I got this job, and let's see. Heard there's a shortage of truck drivers and ships stuck in port. Yeah, there's a whole like logistics catastrophe happening right now. We can't get shit where it needs to go, and the sort of disruptions caused by COVID and our sort of very fragile, just-in-time logistics system is starting to really fall apart. Lastly, if there's anybody who it's their first time watching one of my streams, please say hello in the chat. We are a very great and awesome community, and I would like for you all to, say hello. Hey, thank you for the $6.99 Canadian. Hi, Tristan. Do you think that the History Channel has some partial responsibility for spreading wacko fringe conspiracy theories? I mean, yes, because they were a channel that had a lot of goodwill towards them, that they used on publishing all sorts of documentaries about wacko fringe conspiracy theories. I know, because now I'm the host of a podcast that's about one of those shows. So yeah. Thank you for the planned Quandor of video. It's really meaningful to watch it here coming from your channel. Well, thank you. Hey, totally different username. Thank you for the subscription. You guys are great. And thank you, J-Lord, for the $5 super chat. What's a good historical example of a violent historical conflict between feudalism and capitalism? Yeah, the French Revolution, the American Revolution, what's it called? Those are the two big examples that people show of a historical conflict between feudalism and capitalism. Because those two sort of rose up in that period where in this greater period, which is called the bourgeois revolution, which was the period where capitalism as the dominant form of economic exploitation started to supplant the aging and having trouble adjusting to new economic circumstances feudal system. And it broke. Thank you, Fernando, for the 5 USD. Please send the video out soon. Sorry to press again. I'm working on it. I'm a busy boy. I got a lot of things that need to be done between now and when I have a baby boy in January, so I got a lot of work to do. Tristan, why is it that sometimes milk, when it's a few days past the expiration date, is still drinkable? Well, obviously the answer is that the expiration dates they put on food are very conservative because it's usually to preserve it at its optimal flavor and because they don't want to get sued. Those are the main things. Take your time. Yeah, the thing is with the next video is that I got this job when it's like at a certain point. Like, I already filmed the overpopulation video. It's already... I even did the, like, what's it called? Like, the effect stuff. Like, I did all the color grading and everything already. So it's just I need to go in and cut the footage and put the graphics on. But I have to get all this stuff done before next week, or by next week, so it is more urgent. The podcast is called It's Probably Not Aliens. Here, let me get you a link. It's a great podcast. It just started last week. There are 6 episodes up, but only because we put the first 5 episodes up early. So we decided to release the first 5 episodes when the show started. So, yeah. Should Spain ask Latin America to forgive one of this Columbus Day? I mean, Spain should always be asking Latin America for forgiveness for all the bullshit they've done. Podcast is great. Thank you. Listen to the first 5 in one day. Wow. I mean, I did too, but that's because I was the day that the podcast came out. I was stuck in a hotel room all day with nothing to do. So that's what I did instead. But yeah, it's a very listenable podcast, very enjoyable. I think people had a good time. People seem to be having a good time. It got over 4,000 downloads in the first few days, so obviously something's working. Yeah. All right. We should probably get started on the content. So we got a lot of news of stuff that's happened in the last few weeks, in the last 3 weeks since I did my last stream. First, and so we're gonna go very fast. If there's anything I really need to get in depth with, I can chew on it a bit. But for the most part, I think there's a whole bunch of news stories that are just things that happened in the last 3 weeks that I need to get caught up on because I wasn't paying much attention to the news for the last 3 weeks. So the first thing that I found out is that Gretchen Whitmer. Let's get some. Let's get some stuff on this. So Gretchen Whitmer, the friggin' governor of Michigan, has said that they're making these they're funding these electric roads, these electrified roads, and the idea behind them is that you might be able to use infrastructure to make the electric cars, to power the electric cars for, on major highways and stuff like that, when electric cars will be doing a lot of their long haul work. The kind of stuff that would be the times when they would need to annoyingly recharge every few hours. So that'd be cool. If electric cars just charged by driving on electric roads, that'd be pretty neat. So that's cool. I'll take that. I'll take that news. I just like the idea that hey, look what happens if you invest in infrastructure, huh? If you just put money into the things that need money, you can have roads that have electricity in them. Isn't that neat? So there's new China news. Saw tankies bragging on Twitter about how they were right. I've only seen a little bit of the information about this, so I can't speak with a lot of confidence. But essentially, it's that that China has basically dismantled all of the Uyghur re-education centers or whatever, and basically, I as far as I can read it, it looks like from the reports coming out about this whole program that everything was a lot less drastic than people were making it out to be. So that's about it. I can't vouch for the veracity of that because I haven't, done the research. That's just what I'm hearing. Because China's probably looking for some PR victories because they're having some real tests against Taiwan. It's much more my speed than I expected. I appreciate how it isn't just about ancient aliens, but you also give a lot of legitimate information on the general subject on the search for life. Yeah. Thank you, Jackie. I actually just now you guys won't hear this for many months, but I just put forward I just made a contact with an astrobiology, an astrobiologist, to see if she'd want to be who studies abiogenesis and stuff like that. And I'd be very interested in having her on the show. So she said that she would do it, so we'll see. Just like we're also this one is going to be more soon. Keep in mind, okay, so keep in mind that we filmed episodes of that. We filmed episodes of It's Probably Not Aliens very far in the future. Like the most recent episode that came out with Andrew Mark Henry, we filmed in like late April, and in November sometime we're going to do an episode about the Nephilim and like giants in the Bible, and we're going to be getting Trey the Explainer to come on for it. So that'll be fun. Trey, I knew I wanted to get Trey the Explainer on. I thought I could get him on for the. We were doing a video on the Anunnaki at one point, and I thought he would get him on for that, but instead we're getting him on for Nephilim and stuff like that. It's gonna be very fun. Yep, Book of Enoch stuff. Okay, second news story. German cashier. This is too sad, but looks like COVID-19 conspiracy theories led to a murder in Germany. So, oh boy, that's really sad. I don't really like this story. That story. Hey, thank you for the five dingoes. I found two good American presidents: FDR for obvious reasons, and John Adams because he hated slavery. John Adams? I know him. FDR, probably one of the least objectionable presidents, but I can't think of any president who was actually like good. There are some that are less bad than others, and those who were, who spearheaded very important and necessary projects for, American standard of living. But like FDR with his like record on race, and maybe not the best. Not enough for me to say that he's good, Here because of the podcast. Congratulations, it's amazing. Well, thank you, Adriana. Thank you. I'm glad that you like the show. Is this your what? Does that mean you found my content through the podcast? Because if so, you'd be the first person I've heard with that story. Teddy was better than FDR? I mean, Teddy Roosevelt also was like an open white supremacist and an imperialist, so I don't know about that. But like, they all were. Because basically every president is a fucking piece of shit. You don't really, have the will to become somebody like president of the United States without basically being a psychopath. So, thoughts on Lincoln? I mean, he ended slavery. I feel like you get Mondo points for that. There was a lot of the stuff that he said publicly about hemming and hawing about how he just wanted to end the war and he didn't really care about ending slavery. Doesn't seem to really be that's definitely how he talked. I don't know how that stands with his own convictions. Because unfortunately, he was too dead after his presidency to write his memoirs. So I don't think we ever got the tell-all story about Abraham Lincoln's feelings about slavery, and it's kind of pieced together. So some people are like, Abraham Lincoln always really hated slavery because he saw a lot of the cruelties of it growing up in Illinois, close to the border, or the border with the slave states, and growing up near to the Mississippi River, where the Mississippi was definitely was a major thing for transporting slaves. So he would have seen a lot of slavery. But then there was also this idea that he hated slavery because and a lot of white dirt farmers in the 19th century were like this, where they thought that they didn't like slavery because they thought it was unfair competition for their labor. So I don't know where he stands. I don't know. The Victorian age was a very different period of American history, and you have to kind of grade people on a sliding scale based on the context they grew up in. What do you think LBJ's legacy would be if he hadn't gotten into Vietnam? He'd probably be a lot better. I mean, he was already in Vietnam when he became president. But if he had not sort of like put himself in this situation where he like refused to just like, you know, to just take the L, and instead focus on the Great Society. Because in many ways, LBJ's like, you know, I think even his own legacy is that he had all these great ideas for like, you know, outdoing FDR on all these big government programs, but he was brought down by just this like the Vietnam acting like an albatross around his neck. And I feel like that's kind of how he felt. I'm sure that's how a lot of people felt. Thank you for the $5 super chat there, John. The German cashier story seems sad. Yeah, I looked it up. Basically, the story is that somebody attacked a store, like a store employee, because they told them to wear a mask. Because American-style anti-mask, anti-vaccine conspiracy bullshit is being exported to Europe in a pretty big way. Imagine beating Barry Goldwater that bad and still losing. Yeah, for real. Have I ever seen historical photos of Canada? Yeah. Yeah, I've seen some. Australia is importing that shit in a big way too, which is so weird because like Australia is the country that beat COVID. Like they know. They saw the like, you know, they saw the right way to beat COVID, and now they're like retracting on that. It's the weirdest fucking thing. I argue some kings are better than presidents because many of them never wanted power. They just inherited it and never sorted it. Well, thank you for the 5 dingoes. Yeah, I get, like, what's it called? This is... You're outlining why I really hate the idea of, like, kings and presidents, and maybe we shouldn't have people who wield this much power, because there's really nobody who is in there, like, there's nobody who doesn't have serious personality issues that intentionally seeks that much power over so many people. And then for monarchies, there's no vetting process. You just get handed the title. So there's never a, like, you know, there's they can be great or they can be shitty. I'm thinking of New Zealand. No, Australia did pretty good too. The other thing too, the next story I got here is that it looks like the U.S. is starting to see the first rumblings of their COVID booster shots. The FDA got its approval for the Pfizer booster, and if I remember correctly, that Joe Biden just got his booster today or very recently, which is, you know, I'm not super happy about that, just because, like, I mean, like, obviously, if you have a chance to get your COVID booster, get it. Don't, like, you know, don't turn that away. But it does suck that we're talking about giving, you know, white, rich countries boosters when, like, so much of the world still hasn't even gotten their first and second vaccines yet. And that, I think, is very, like, you know, I don't like that. That doesn't make me happy. And we should be probably putting more of our effort in trying to get vaccines into the arms of the planet. But it seems like that effort is slow at best. Does Moderna need a booster? Yeah, it's just still in the approval process. All of the vaccines are going to need a booster because they're going to need to make a booster for all the new variants. They're going to need to make a booster because as we're starting to see in Israel, which was the first country that fully vaccinated its white population, that the immunity from the vaccine starts to wane after about 6 or 7 months, and so we're going to need to get boosters to sort of keep the immunity up. But yeah, like we might be needing to get COVID boosters forever. You might be just like the flu shot. We might just be getting COVID boosters forever. Is the issue a lack of vaccine? I thought it was mostly a distribution infrastructure issue. It is mostly a distribution issue, because it's the fact that we have all the infrastructure to make enough vaccines to get them to everybody. What we don't have is countries that are willing to make the vaccine producers waive their trademark over the vaccine patents, so that countries can use their domestic vaccine creation capacity to make their own vaccines. That's the main problem. Like, the vaccine would be very easy to get to everybody if it wasn't for the fact that Pfizer and Moderna and I don't know who else, Pfizer, Moderna, and the rest need to get a payday in order to get the vaccines. So the vaccines aren't just being made domestically; they have to be imported from their factories, which are mostly in Europe and the United States. So yeah, copyright is fucking killing tons of people every day. So there's that. The other thing too is while I was away, we had the whole story about Haitian immigrants or Haitian migrants, where a bunch of American Border Patrol people were on horseback whipping these people with the reins of their horse or whatever. And the Biden administration's response was basically to say that, oh yeah, we're not going to let them ride horses anymore. As if that solves the fucking problem. That these people are running for their lives, and America's just fucking putting them through some of the worst shit imaginable just because they're trying to find a place to legally be refugees, which they are completely legally entitled to do under international law. So that's just fucking wonderful. And so much so that, as you can see here, that the U.S. envoy to Haiti has resigned over the issue. Because, yeah, they're still not doing anything. Because the Biden administration's down to 38% approval rating, because the Biden administration just fucking refuses to do anything that would make anybody happy. It seems very dedicated to just royally fucking over whoever they can. It seems like the Biden administration is trying its very hardest to make sure that Donald Trump gets to be president in 2024. This is another one. This is really good. This is a story that kind of went under the radar, but I think it was a bigger deal than people think, which is that the European Union, that overbearing European Union that has so many rules for everything that makes being an independent United Kingdom just completely unbearable, just passed another really awesome tech law that basically requires that all cell phone manufacturers use USB-C ports on their technology, essentially forcing Apple to no longer use their own proprietary lightning charger thing, and instead move to a USB-C port, so that you're not locked into Apple's charging ecosystem and their dongles and all that kind of stuff. Just a big move for interchangeability and making technology easier to live with, which is nice. Everyone buy European iPhones now. Well, what I'm hoping is that kind of like what typically happens is that if the EU is going to force Apple to do this in Europe, that Apple will just kind of give up and move to USB-C on all of their things, because it's easier to, it's easier to not make iPhones that are just for sale in the European Union and instead just make one kind of iPhone that uses USB-C. So that's cool. China banned cryptocurrency transactions because that's fucking based as shit. So it's very good news. Very, very good news. This is because China, so much of China's crypto mining was done through coal power plants. This is going to be, this is probably like one of the biggest things that China's done for climate change in just like one fell swoop. Like the amount of CO2 being put out in the atmosphere by people, crypto miners specifically, buying cheap electricity in like northern China from these like coal plants is going to go away. And that's going to be such good news. Because like most crypto mining is done in places where electricity is cheapest. And so the biggest places where it happens are in sort of like rural northern China and Siberia. And so this as a chance to like, get at least one of those countries out of the game of destroying the planet for invisible monopoly money. For the, what's it called? The NFT of money. Think fact. Hope you're doing well. Well, thank you, Dale. Much appreciated. Hope you're doing all right over there in the northeast. When will you make a big video on Timothy McVeigh? I've been waiting for weeks. I know. I keep putting it in front of my... So when I make my videos, when I go to make a new video, I put a poll in front of my patrons, and I give them 3 options. And the Timothy McVeigh / Oklahoma City bombing video has now gone through like 4 different polls, and just not enough patrons voted for it. They always voted for something else. First, they voted for the overpopulation video. Then they voted for November's video, which, if I remember correctly, is about cybersin. So they chose cybersin over that. And the next one looks like they're choosing for, I think it's like December's video. Let me just check real quick. See how the poll's going for the latest one. Yeah, for December, it looks like a video on superstructure and base, and the idea of system justifying beliefs is winning over the Oklahoma City video. So at some point, hopefully, I will make bad enough video ideas that they'll have to vote for the. They'll have to vote for me to finish the series. All right, next one. This is an interesting story that probably didn't make it much out of Canada. But Meng Wanzhou her extradition thing was dropped, and now she's gone back to China. Thank you for the $5 super chat. Coal-fired power plants powered by our coal when I Prime Minister was Treasurer. He brought a lump of coal in Parliament and said, "See, it's only coal." I thought Australia had. Yeah, I did think Australia had a lot of coal. And weirdly, like, hyper right wing politics. That's a secret people don't know about Australia, is that it's secretly really right wing and possibly the most racist white majority country in the world. The amount of like casual racism in Australia is actually shocking. So yeah, this Meng Wanzhou situation was essentially like this whole situation where she's part of the Huawei like megacorp in China, like a big cell phone manufacturer. And I guess the United States wanted to arrest her for some reason. So when she arrived in Canada, in British Columbia, the Canadian police arrested her, and the president at the time, Donald Trump, wanted her extradited to America, and China wanted her back, and sort of in retaliation, the Chinese government arrested a bunch of Canadian nationals and threatened to execute them for like made-up drug charges, and that there's now there's like a whole thing with what the fuck do you even do, you know? Yeah. So Canada was put in a vice for a little bit, and now she's gone home and they've released the people that they arrested. I remember because two of them were named Michael, and everyone was freaking out like, the Michaels are home. Australia has a, what's it called? Are you saying settler colonial nations use racism to justify racial discrimination? I mean, Australia has a fucking concentration camp for refugees and stuff. So it's like some next level shit, yo. I mean, I guess America has concentration camps now too. So next we got here is we'll get to the UK petrol thing when I get here, because I don't know anything about the whole situation. Only that the UK is fucking the football yet again when it comes to, like, you know, basically finding out. In 2016 they fucked around, and now they're finding out again, and this way it's like with a gas shortage. Kidnapping, assassination, and a London shootout inside the CIA. Yeah, so this came out that like the Pompeo White House, or the Pompeo what's it called? CIA or something. Let's just get into this. Cause this is fucking wild. Basically, it was that the CIA during the Trump administration had plans to assassinate freaking Julian Assange. And they also planned to possibly kidnap him to bring him back to America to be like tortured basically forever. So yeah, Mike Pompeo, the CIA director, was basically the person who was spearheading the operation. Fucking terrifying, not surprising, but you know, got out to the public. Friggin', what's it called? Broken by Yahoo News of all things. Settler colonialists indulge in massive projection. They invade other lands and cause humongous loss of life and limb, then project themselves on other people who want to come to their land as peaceful immigrants and refugees. Yeah, for sure. like, I don't know, like, how can, like, we praise, like, you know, Gandhi, right, who pushed the British out of India and made India a country ruled by Indians, or, like, you know, nobody praises Rhodesia anymore. Nobody praises white minority rule in South Africa. But yet, when it comes to the United States and Canada, anytime we talk about, like, you know, decolonizing these countries and, you know, returning them to the people that they were taken from, it's like the biggest imposition in history to these people. I don't know. Thank you for the 5 dingoes. It's kind of a last bastion of right-wing social democracy in the paternal conservat fashion of Otto von Bismarck. The opposite of libertinism. Is that libertarianism? Okay. Yeah, I guess. Serfs have been banned from Twitch and verified on Twitter. I know, I heard. Man. I feel like that, like, one day in the far future, I'll be verified on Twitter and it'll be one of the strangest experiences of my life. Well, I guess not that strange. I did manage a verified Twitter account at my old job, but, you know, still. Gandhi gets praised in the same way as MLK to delegitimize violent protest. Yeah, a lot of people are having a very, like, big relook at Mahatma Gandhi, and not only, like, in India, because apparently of a bunch of, like, corruption stuff, but yeah, Mahatma Gandhi was, like, you know, not the savior people seem to make him out to be. At the same time, that, yeah, he's wheeled out basically to try and tell people they're protesting wrong. How does an account get verified? I don't know these days. You used to have to apply, but I don't think you apply anymore. So they think that they have, like, you know, as far as I remember, they have, like, a set of criteria that are, like, you have to show that you are in some way, like, a notable person. Either you have to be in, like, the top, like, 0.01% of Twitter users by being, like, you know, very, very popular on Twitter, or you have to be, like, you have to be somewhat notable in a space that is off the website. As far as I've been told by people, that it's a lot easier to get verified if you're, like, a politician or a journalist or something like that. But social media personality is a bit more difficult. Why don't I go make the news then? Yeah, for real. At one point, I joked about, like, I should write some op-eds for a newspaper or something so I can get verified. But I don't think it's not a big deal to me. Sorry with the typos. No problem. Thank you for the dingoes. Gandhi was a massive racist against Native Africans. He was Indo-European supremacist and did weird naked stuff to female relatives. Lovely. From India originally, and Aussies do have that reputation sometimes. Also, Gandhi is a confusing phenomenon for me. Emotionally, I find it hard to concede we need to move away from celebrating him. Yeah, sometimes that shit's difficult. We were just talking about it last night because I was having a Thanksgiving dinner with some of my friends, and one of my friends is an immigrant from West Bengal. And she moved to Canada, I think, about 2-3 years ago, and we were talking about Gandhi because of, I can't remember why we were talking about Gandhi, and this whole, like, kind of reassessment of Gandhi came up. Yeah, so that's another thing. I'm going to find out about this thing. This will get interested in looking into. So apparently the UK, panic buying of petrol is becoming a thing. Disruption to supply of fuel. Panic buying was said to be caused by media reports of a leaked government brief discussing the shortage of heavy goods vehicle drivers. Some analysts and politicians link the driver shortage to Brexit, whilst others blame the COVID-19 pandemic or their combined impact. Although the UK didn't have a shortage of fuel, the panic buying of fuel combined with a supply chain issue caused by HGV driver shortage led to many petrol stations running out of fuel. Well, turns out the UK fucked around and found out yet again. I hate when people reap what they sow. What did Gandhi do? Is it the racism? It's a bunch of stuff. Apparently he also, like, the government that, like, he did put in place was extremely, like, corrupt. He kind of imagined, like, the thing, he's kind of the reason why, like, India's got issues about, like, not that he was, like, not that he, like, was necessarily a champion of this, because actually the people who killed him were more a champion of this, but setting up India as this Hindu, like, that India is a Hindu country, when it very much is not. It is a country of many faiths. Was sort of part of it. That, you know, his making of India in the way that he did kind of pitted Muslims against Hindus in ways that kept getting exacerbated and led to, like, you know, the sort of, like, really brutal treatment of Muslims in India that exists today. Oh yeah, Netflix freaking posting like a freaking Dave Chappelle special about fucking like where he just says a bunch of transphobic shit. That's fun. That's super duper fun. And then also firing a trans employee for calling it out. Netflix is, like, notoriously awful to work for, so that doesn't surprise me at all. I forgot about that. If I do recall correctly, that there might be a bit more complexity to that, but that's just because I was watching the Jesse Gender video on it, which I think is a little bit more. I think there's a little bit more nuance there, but, you know, you probably shouldn't, you know, take a cis guy's, you know, analysis of Dave Chappelle's transphobia. I feel like that's a conversation that I have no place wading into. Oh yeah, fucking volcano erupted in fucking the Canary Islands. Did I remember hearing this? Let's take a look at this this story. A huge, like, volcanic eruption happened. Like, look at this. This is September of 2021. Look, those are lights, and that is lava. That is lava next to lights. You don't want to see that. We don't like that, friends. The Spanish island of La Palma, one of the Canary Islands. Shit, man. Look at this. Look at this. That's fucking space lava. God damn. Wow. That's like a river of lava. That's wild. I don't know why I'm so impressed by this, but, you know. Didn't he also believe in the caste system? Perhaps. I have a feeling that I should probably maybe make a Gandhi video at some point, and I can get into it. All right. So that was that. Apparently, there are some disputes also. It's another thing of the UK having all sorts of fucking border issues because they left the European Union for no goddamn reason. And now they're having, like, disputes with France over fishing rights in the English Channel. And it's like, god damn it. This is just... It's just going to keep getting bad. I found out that YouTube is going to ban vaccine misinformation, which is nice. And then also apparently, as part of that, deleted a bunch of channels from RT. And now Russia is threatening to ban YouTube in Russia if they don't reinstate these propaganda outlets that are basically spewing vaccine misinformation. Isn't that fucking great? Kind of surprised you haven't made a Gandhi video yet. I mean, it's really outside of my area of expertise. Ooh. Yeah, the bigger issue they're having is with Northern Ireland, where they can't really make a... they're not really making a really great border agreement with Ireland, which is going to... The last time that caused issues. The last time there was not open borders between Ireland and the UK, it led to a lot of terrorism. The RT bit makes me a bit leery, TBH. The last time they took a swing at them, CBC Videos got a big state broadcaster banner. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, so this thing, what happened was is that YouTube, the story how it goes is that there's a couple German language RT affiliates that YouTube took down because they were spreading specifically misinformation about the COVID vaccine. And Putin basically said that you have to reinstate these channels or we're going to ban YouTube in Russia. And it's like, goddamn. Because there's like a lot of Russians. Like, isn't there like, there's like over 100 million people in Russia. So that's probably like, what's RT? It's Russia Today. It's the state broadcaster of Russia. Last Week Tonight did an excellent deep dive on foreign language misinformation on YouTube. Yes, I know. I watched it literally like half an hour before the stream started. How do I feel about Chris Hedges, if you're familiar with him? He has a show on RT, but he's also a writer for Truthdig and elsewhere. I don't know much about Chris Hedges. I will say that anybody who has like got a strong affiliation with RT, I find very sus. So I'd be very, what's it called? I would be apprehensive. Because there's a lot of people who used to be good, and then they go on RT, and then they start turning into weirdos. So, I don't know. Like, when I think about the big-name voices in the Russia Today world, it's people like Lee Camp, who's like a wild conspiracy theorist. Because basically, like, a lot of, like, RT propaganda efforts are to constantly attack the United States, which, you know, good on you. I'd join in that. With, like, legitimately good arguments. Except that, like, you realize very quickly that it's also so that you don't talk about what's going on in Russia, and you don't talk about like what the Putin government's doing and like that kind of stuff. My opinion on The Intercept, I like some of their investigative journalism. They recently just released the big leak. They're kind of like pushing the big Facebook leaks. So I think that's pretty good. I think they're a lot better now that they've dumped Glenn Greenwald. I feel like Glenn Greenwald was probably the worst part of The Intercept, so that's fine. Thoughts on the Harper's letter? Um, I don't know. That's like that like random like defending free speech against cancel culture article, isn't it? I don't know how to feel about that thing. I obviously think that it's kind of bullshit, and that the people who are signing it are grossly overestimating like the threat of left-wing college students, and that that right-wing cancel culture is way more of like a real thing than like what they're afraid of, which is usually just accountability for the things that they say. Although like Noam Chomsky signed it, which I do not know why that is the case. I don't know what his logic was there, but it makes me think something like either he wasn't like that there was like he was misinformed about the nature of the letter or something, but I don't know. That's just me going to reflexive defense of Chomsky, because he's probably one of the smarter leftists out there right now. But do I think Australia is more racist than Russia? I mean, I don't know. I don't think that countries have racism points. I don't really know much about what racism is like in Russia right now. I imagine it's not great. It's had a right-wing semi-dictatorship for a long time. Have I ever emailed Chomsky? No. I should, though. He's kind of one of the most influential academics in my life. He's the reason I became an anarchist when I was 21 years old back in 2009. So, I don't know, maybe I should ask him about that. He usually gets back to everyone, usually really quickly. Interesting. I knew that he like answers emails. I didn't know he did so quickly. I'm just gonna skip the Tigray war, because apparently there's been some friction between Ethiopia and the United Nations over their sort of occupation and invasion of the Tigray region. And I'd be interested to find out more about what's going on with that, but I don't think, it was not a right-wing letter, it was very liberal. Okay. I mean, liberal is right-wing, so I don't know what you mean by that. All I gotta say is cancel culture is not the threat that people are making it out to be. And the people who are complaining about it the most are mostly just mad that they had to be accountable on social media for the bullshit they're saying. When a lot of people who've had a large platform and come from legacy media are used to never having to face any sort of consequences for the things they say. And now that they are, they think they're being cancel cultured. Yeah, cancel culture is a right-wing talking point. Exactly. It's, what's it called? It's political correctness for the 21st century. Popular Front podcast has a good stuff on the Tigray War and other conflicts around the world. Good. Dave Chappelle defended Louis C.K. Oh, why am I not surprised? While I was gone on my trip, the U.S. passed 700,000 COVID deaths. I very highly suspect that, sadly, that America's going to hit 1 million. That's 1 in 300 Americans killed by COVID by the end of this, I think. Please note these same people aren't talking about universities banning pro-Palestinian protests or Netflix firing trans employees for criticizing them. Yeah. Exactly. Cancel culture only exists when, like, how is liberalism right wing? Because it defends capitalism. And capitalism, if you believe in the existence of capitalism and you think that capitalism is a good thing that needs to exist, you are on the right wing of the political spectrum. By a political standard, like, social democrats are centrists. Hey, Shock for Life 561, thank you for your $10 super chat. What are my thoughts on George Carlin? I used to think he was really funny when I was a kid. Like, I think his comedy was pretty good. He made some pretty good points. I think a lot of his stuff would, not so much fly today, but that's just the evolving nature of comedy. I really am, like, in some ways I'm kind of glad that he's not alive to deal with this kind of weird culture war that all the stand-up comics are having against things. Yeah, so here's the story on the issue with the EU and the UK having issues about trying to work out a what's it called? I honestly think Carlin would have been a Trumper. I don't think so. I don't think it would have been a Trumper. I think that he would be. I think that I mean, here's the thing. I don't really like putting, like, political positions in the mouths of dead people, but I would be apprehensive about what George Carlin's takes on all this dumb culture war shit would be right now. So that makes me think if there's any speculation I could make, because he probably would have been a Bernie supporter, because he was very anti-capitalist. Honestly, George Carlin's Donald Trump take would be pretty great. I would love to have seen that stand-up bit. Yeah. Next up, North Korea threatens top UN body. Yeah, so North Korea is resuming nuclear bomb testing. So that's a thing that's coming back. And now they're sort of, like, pissing off the United Nations because they're doing this again. Why is new Windows a story? The stories are, like, what did I get up to what happened when I was away for, like, I kind of was checked out of the internet for the last, like, 3 weeks, so I'm kind of catching up on everything that happened. And I guess Windows 11 came out. I don't know. How do people feel about Windows 11? Is it a thing? Are people liking it? Are people hating it? How are we supposed to feel about this Windows 11? Is it another Windows 10 or is it another Windows 8? Do you like Thunderfoot, or does he attack women too much? Thunderfoot is like a rampaging misogynist. His, like, channel for years was dedicated solely to attacking women, and his anti-feminism stance, like, basically sealed him away as a piece of shit in my mind. I do like when he fucked around and found out, when he realized that all the reactionaries he surrounded himself with were all pro-Brexit and Trump supporters, and he's like, oh no, what am I to do? How is it that spending years attacking women on the internet has had me surrounded by reactionaries? He's obsessed with Anita Sarkeesian, yeah. To, like, an unhealthy degree. A, like, extremely normal person. So, the Pandora Papers came out, which I've been told is kind of like the Panama Papers. The offshore accounts of 35 world leaders, including current and former presidents, prime ministers, heads of state, as well as more than 100 billionaires, celebrities, business leaders. So yeah, another expose to show that rich people don't pay their fucking taxes, huh? The one thing that's really concerning about this, the Pandora paper thing, is that, and this story doesn't get talked about a lot, but like, a suspiciously high amount of people who were involved with the leaking of the Panama Papers ended up dead as a result. So is this going to result in like a bunch of like, you know, it's going to result in a bunch of random whistleblowers getting killed again? It is good that people are paying attention, at least a little bit, to just the whole system that's used for people in power and people who have money to not pay taxes and to just like hoard their wealth. Among the names are Tony Blair, cool. Sebastian Piñera, Uhuru Kenyatta. Let's see if I recognize any other of these leaders. Fucking wild. Other global names mentioned include Shakira. Oh, is that why everyone was talking about Shakira this week? Okay. Interesting. And yeah, Windows 11 came out. What does Windows 11 have that's new? What's its new thing? Like, I don't, like, I'm not, like, you know, a tech guy, so I'm just curious if there's anything that Windows 11 has that is in any way interesting to me. Features, let's see. First major release since 2015. Builds upon its predecessor by revamping the user interface to allow for their new fluent design guidelines. Ease of use and flexibility comes along. Okay, whatever. Windows subsystem for Android. Okay. Well, I guess we'll have to see what that turns out to be like. Yay! Windows 11. Has an HDR mode for old games and a new hardware restriction. Okay. What will they do in 2167 when we release the 95th version of Windows? What will they call it? Ah. Well played. You can install APKs in Windows 11, like APKs like Android apps. That'd be kind of nice. There are some things on Android that I would love to just have on my desktop. That'd be pretty cool. If in 2024 Trump wins and he refuses to give up power in 2028, do you think the U.S. military will support him, and by how much? Honestly, from what, if the last Trump administration was anything to go on, the military was absolutely not on his side. He basically already tried a coup, and he failed because the U.S. military wouldn't back him. Hey, thank you, Shot for Life, for the $20 super chat. Thank you. Just wanted to say that I love your work, and I hope you keep it up. Oh, thank you. William Shatner's going to space on the penis rocket. Yeah, I heard that. Man, fuck that guy. William Shatner is a Not nice guy, and I do not wish good things for him. Who is worse, Alex Jones or Joe Rogan? Right now, I'd probably say Joe Rogan, because Joe Rogan still has a massive platform and spouts COVID, like, misinformation and denial of stuff. And, you know, Alex Jones is pretty marginal right now. He doesn't have a huge platform anymore. But, like, if you're to factor in their whole career, Alex Jones has probably done objectively more damage to American culture than Joe Rogan ever did. This is another thing that went under the radar that I would like to talk about. Freaking the first malaria vaccine has just been endorsed to be used in Africa, a continent that is like ravaged by malarial outbreaks. And if they can actually make like this malaria vaccine, apparently is really good at preventing hospitalization, so making malarial symptoms fairly a lot milder, and this could save just an astronomical amount of lives. If we can like, malaria is like one of the largest killers on Earth, and if we can find a way to like stop stop malaria, it would be one of the hugest accomplishments by the human species. So I think like malaria is I don't think there is another disease that has killed as many people on Earth as malaria. I can't verify that, but it is one of the most notorious killers in human history. How can you have a vaccine for something that's not caused by a virus or a bacteria? Good question. I mean, I guess like somehow training the immune system to respond to the parasites or whatever they are. I thought we knew how to deal with malaria since the 1890s. Yes, but having I don't know about that. I don't know about the 1890s, but we do have pretty good treatments for malaria. But the thing is, a lot of places where malaria is big are places that don't have strong infrastructure, where a vaccination program would be a lot more successful than having good treatment or mosquito control. The other thing here is that a federal judge blocked the restriction law. So apparently there's going to be some legal challenges to the Texas heartbeat bill. So it might be defeated in the courts after all. It's temporary, but at least it shows that there is there is pushback. There is something going on. The other thing, too, is that while I was away, we started doing a bunch of Facebook... there's a bunch of Facebook leaks. Including one today where they, leaked a whole bunch of stuff that, people in groups that they have banned. And, a lot of them are, it's a lot of, their terrorism section is very heavily biased towards Middle Eastern and South Asian people, and they don't consider the white power movement to be terrorists. And what was the other thing that was on the list? This is some other stuff. But yeah, apparently there's a huge leak going on of internal information about the stuff, in which they know they create societal harm and continue to do so anyway. Their internal research shows that they are doing bad things, and they just continue to do it. I don't know how much more that's going to be, come out of that, but it's fucking wild, yo. Did you hear about the Twitch leak and reset my Twitch password? Yes and yes. Correct. I've read that social media companies do that because their AIs can't tell white nationalists from GOP politicians. That was what Twitter apparently did. That was apparently the issue Twitter had to deal with. I wonder if Canada will ban Facebook due to hate speech. Yeah. Joe Rogan endorsed Bernie and Medicare for All. Yeah, he did. And then he started promoting not getting vaccinated and promoted like horse paste and like, you know, all sorts of other random pseudoscience. He's also like a massive transphobe, and it was a huge issue even when he endorsed Bernie. I don't think it was a good call, to be honest. Like, for the Bernie campaign to lean so much into the Joe Rogan endorsement. Joe Rogan is often a font of bigotry and misinformation. And, like, you know, Jimmy Dore also endorsed Bernie and Medicare for All, and the guy's turning into a fucking, like, anti-vax channel on his YouTube channel. So... what do I think about the stuff surrounding Hassan making $210,000 a month on Twitch? Yeah, I guess, like, yeah, Twitch got leaked with all of its source code and how much all of their top creators were making. And it turns out that Hassan Piker is making a lot of money. I don't think that it's very productive discourse to speculate about how much money. Like, I had a conversation about this because I did hear this story through the grapevine when I was out and about. But like the whole thing about like people trying to come to a decision about how much money you're about to make before you're no longer a leftist is, to me, not a productive conversation. I do get that, like, you know, there's a lot of things that you can do with that money that would be really great if, you know, Hassan would do that. But I feel like we're getting, I feel like we are returning to socialism is when house. Exactly. Who's Hassan? Hassan Piker is a social democrat, a Twitch streamer, who is, I think, at this point, like one of the most highly paid Twitch streamers on the platform and one of the most popular Twitch streamers, period. So, when the leak happened, it turned out that he makes like something like $200,000 a month, like an absurd amount of money. I mean, I guess it's not an absurd amount of money, but it is like a lot of fucking money. And so every time these conversations happen, the internet left has to come into a conversation about exactly how much money you can make before you're a bad person now. And the conclusion is always, the answer is, anybody who tries to make this argument, if you're making more than me, then you're a bad leftist. That's the trick. Tristan, I was wondering how cons can understand that all stories contain political and sociological messages and not entertainment. Isn't that just simple high school English stuff? Well, thank you for the $13.99, by the way, Meow Nun. The main thing is, I think, that a lot of conservatives don't realize that their assumptions about how the world works are political statements, and they're used to every facet of society basically, basically like verifying and like, giving them permission. Like they've never had any media that challenged their perspective and their political positions. So they think that their right-wing take is just apolitical. And then when media actually seems to criticize their take, that's when they're like, wait a minute, this isn't content, this is political now. So, yeah. Let's skip that one. Okay, so now I should probably actually get into y'all's questions. We got 40 minutes left of the stream, so let's see if I can do these quickly. So First question: what do you think is going to happen if the Senate doesn't raise the debt limit in the U.S. and the U.K. and the U.S. defaults on its debt? This is not the first time it's happened. The U.S. has defaulted on its debt several times due to political obstructionism. It might cause a government shutdown briefly, where they have to go into this sort of like maintenance mode. It's very annoying. It like disrupts a lot of federal employees' lives, especially at a very vulnerable time with COVID and everything like that. And then eventually, when they like fucking play chicken with the cliff again, they will at long last eventually get their debt ceiling increase. It's a thing that the right have been doing for years to try and create a political controversy about spending out of nothing. It's fairly common. The only thing that might change is that there was a time when the U.S. defaulted on its debts, and it got a downgrade of its financial rating, but I don't exactly, which might result in higher interest rates when they're taking out loans from like the World Bank or something. But I don't remember who they took their loans out from, but their sort of credit score going down caused some issues, but I don't know exactly what they were. What are my thoughts on Russell Brand's idea that society is on the verge of collapse in the U.S. and off-grid living is going to become more mainstream? I mean, it's not. I don't know about collapse, but definitely there's going to be collapsing. I think that the amount of things that we can rely on the government to do is going to keep shrinking, and it's going to get very unreliable in the not-too-distant future. And we'll have to learn how to be more self-reliant as communities to fill in the gaps of whatever the state decides it no longer wants to or has the capacity to fulfill. What's the funniest thing you've seen a newscaster have to present in a serious face? For me, it has to be Amy Goodman describing how a dark ooze dripped down from Giuliani's forehead. I mean, that was a good one. Amy Goodman describing the, what's it called, Four Seasons total landscaping was also pretty good. She cracked up pretty hard on that one. That would be my, major thing. I can't think of any other really good news story cracking. The Four Seasons total landscaping caused a lot of very funny news news anchors kind of losing their cool because the story was just so objectively funny. It felt like something from Arrested Development. All right, next up. Could I explain why the American intervention in Libya was wrong? I don't mean to defend the empire, obviously, but all I know is that the U.S. Air Force set up a no-fly zone that prevented Gaddafi from being able to airstrike rebels. Sure. Yeah. Basically, the U.S. government did get involved explicitly with the goal of trying to overthrow Gaddafi. And while the U.S. did a no-fly zone, they supported the NATO effort, which was a lot more involved. And the thing about Gaddafi is that Gaddafi was a dictator who the international community had been trying to learn to work with. And he was, in many ways, a political... Not that I can defend him, he was a pretty brutal guy. But, the international community, he was somebody who could be worked with. Once Gaddafi was taken out of the picture, Libya basically broke down into local, sectional warfare, and has now been through 2 civil wars. And it was another case of, because Obama calls the invasion of, or the sort of Libya intervention, the biggest mistake of his presidency. And I agree with that because what happened is that the U.S. did what it always does, which is it plans an intervention in a foreign country without a plan for what it's going to do afterwards. And so essentially, by getting involved, in what was going on in that country, they facilitated, like, not like a very, like, brutal, violent overthrow of the of Gaddafi, and it led to the country basically falling apart, and the U.S. just being like, okay, everything's a mess, time for us to go. Thoughts on Nick Hanor? Thank you for the 2 dingoes. Let me check who Nick Hanor... I've never heard of Nick Hanor is the answer. Nick Hanor. Early investor in Amazon.com. Served as an advisor until 2000. He founded Gear.com, which merged with Overstock. Well, he sounds like a piece of shit. So he's just like, okay, so he's like a rich guy. He does some activism, civic activism. He started a think tank. Oh. Framed Upon Ideas, he and Eric Liu presented their 2007 book espousing patriotic progressivism, The True Patriot. Hanauer and his wife Leslie co-manage the Nick and Leslie Hanauer Foundation, which focuses on public education and environment, and additionally supports a variety of progressive causes locally and nationally. It seems like a guy who needs to have a lot of his money taken away from him. Maybe all of it. And also, apparently, he doesn't like... I don't know. Rich progressives are sus. I mean, he seems like a centrist who has a lot of money. Okay. Cool. All right. Last chat, Ayn Rand was ruined and corrupted generations of people. Oh, thank you for the super chat. And yeah, Ayn Rand's a fucking monster. Did you skip my 2 latest questions? Being about Rome? What? No, they're down here. Let's see what we got next. I noticed you and Scott's first 2 podcast episodes. It's probably not aliens. Pretty good podcast. You should probably listen to it, everybody. But why aliens aren't here, there could also be the reason that the colonization and expansion are mostly important to just the major countries on Earth. Let's see. There could also be the reason that colonization and expansion are mostly important just on the major countries on Earth and may not be important alien civilizations. What are your thoughts on this? I mentioned that in the episode. I think that was there. That colonization was a thing that humans uniquely are really into. I think I mentioned that in one of the episodes anyway. Yeah, it's a common understanding, and it could very well be the case. I don't think it explains, like, the fact, like, if there are, like, tons of aliens out there, and the only thing that's causing them to not, like, contact us is because they just don't colonize. I have a feeling that that feels like, I don't know, that feels very out of, feels like that. I don't know, it feels... Hanor is more of a sock dem than a centrist. Yeah, he's a centrist. He's a sock dem. Social Democrats are centrists. If they were left-wing, they'd be democratic socialists. I submitted 2 Rome-related questions yesterday. Did I tag them for Mia by accident? Maybe. What historical figure are you tired of being celebrated for their mimetic awesomeness? Teddy Roosevelt is, yeah, that's a good one. Churchill is also a good one. Trying to think of, whoa! 1 second. The Good Morty. Thank you for the fucking $100 super chat. Holy moly. I'm gonna put my kid through college with that. My aunt's husband, Trumpster, bigot of all kinds, real capitalist, died of COVID last year, and I just got an obscene amount of money. I'm actually going vegan because I'm weak-willed and can afford convenient veganism to get started. LOL. Any baby name ideas yet? Yeah. We pretty much have my kid's name worked out. And for security reasons, I'm not going to tell you guys what it is. So, but thank you so much for the cash. Yeah. But yeah, I really appreciate it. I'm glad that you're becoming vegan. Veganism is like the most ethical way to eat. So, well done. I'm glad you could do it. Yeah. Holy moly. But yeah, when it comes to, I guess I can like outline some stuff about my kid. I'm probably not going to tell anybody his name. I will probably refer to him only as D. His name starts with a D. Or it will start with a D. He's not born yet. But, and I'm not going to show any pictures or anything like that, just because until he can consent to having his stuff up on social media, and because there are people who, really want to, who wish me harm, I really just don't want to involve him in the kind of like activist work I have. And the only time I would involve him is if he was old enough to consent to it himself, which will be, at least as when he's a teenager. So. Just I'm going to avoid that gross parent YouTuber shit. Good. Yeah, well, the thing is that in many ways, I think that there's a couple things. One, because I am I'm in political activist YouTube space, that there are people, like, it would not be outside of the realm possibility for somebody to wish me and my family harm, and, like, actual physical harm, and clues that they could take from the content could lead to them either doing cyber stalking or, like, possibly even hurting my kid. The second is that I respect his privacy. And the thing is that when he's a child, he really can't consent to being on the internet. He doesn't know what the consequences of that are. And so, I'm not even posting pictures of him on Facebook. I'm going to make, like, a private photo album, probably, like, in Google Photos or something, that I'm just going to share with, like, grandparents and stuff like that. Because I don't want to post pictures of him on social media because he's not old enough to consent to that, because it's pictures of him. So until he's like, old enough to decide whether or not he wants to have his pictures on social media, I will not do so. You're my top 5 YouTubers. Oh, thank you, Jackie. That's really kind of you. You seem like a truly awesome guy. Well, I mean, I have my days, but, Great on you, Tristan. Good thoughts on handling kid versus your publicity. Thank you. 18 years from now, give or take. I do think, like, they, maybe, like, I feel like the sort of minimum age to join most social media platforms is 13. So I feel like 13 might be a decent age where he can, make a decision over whether he wants to have his pictures on the internet, basically. It's, a tad young for my taste, but at least, it's a start. The thing is not broken. No, it is not. I recall seeing them, so I'll have to put them, I'll have to see where they go. What do I think of Dave Chappelle? I don't have a lot of thoughts about Dave Chappelle, to be perfectly honest. I didn't really I don't know why, but I didn't really watch the Chappelle Show when I was a kid. Just wasn't a show that that really, that I just wasn't a thing I watched, and so I didn't really have that kind of same attachment to his comedy and stuff like that. And the recent controversies don't exactly make me interested in finding out more about his content. So. All right. So yeah, historical figures, they're tired of being celebrated for their mimetic awesomeness. You chose some good ones with Churchill and Roosevelt. I'm trying to think of some other like really memey, popular people. I mean, some people are talking about FDR earlier, and I really wish people stopped like worshiping him because he was the least bad president. One was about a slave uprising. Oh, god damn it. Let's see. Where's my questions form? I don't know what you're gonna get out of this because you've tried this before. I am terrible at Rome stuff, and you know this. Yeah, it looks like it's here. It looks like you submitted it yesterday, and I think I collected my questions like yesterday because I had a bunch of time on my hands. So that's why. I just didn't submit it yet. I'll probably have to collect them for Thursday because we're going to do a stream with me on Thursday. So. I did delete my Facebook account, so I never really used it. Yeah, I still have my Facebook account. I don't really post things on it. I have my Facebook account explicitly just for the Messenger now. For the Messenger and for managing the Step Back Facebook page. That's basically all I use Facebook for at this point. Because, like, I have a D&D... I have some friends who the only way where I can really get a hold of them is through Facebook Messenger. And I have a D&D group that doesn't have a regular meeting schedule. We sort of do, like, a ad hoc committee thing. Did I catch Mr. Beat and JJ's stream the other day, and would you ever do a stream with them? I have done a stream with Mr. Beat, and I would do it again. JJ McCullough's, no, he's a dick, and I don't really want to spend any time with him. He explicitly has come out hating my ethnicity and thinks that they should have their culture suppressed out of Canada. So, yeah, JJ can go fuck himself. He actively has called for, like, basically the cultural erasure of my entire people. So, I'm good. I'm good without, spending time with Mr. McCullough. He is a francophobe. Yes, he is. That is exactly. And as somebody who is, is a Bilodeau by like clan, yeah, he would, not exactly a fan. Who does JJ want to? JJ hates French people. He hates French Canadians. He doesn't want people to speak French in Canada. So, and as somebody who, has, is related to French families that have been in Canada since the fucking 17th century, I got some issues with that. Um, didn't mean to offend. No, it's not. What's it called? You didn't offend me. Just he does. He gets the blood running. But Mr. Beat is like a genuine friend of mine. I like him a lot. Finland's apparently ended homelessness. I heard about this. It's pretty exciting. I'm French Canadian, yes. Well, I would say that French Canadian is the largest slice of my ethnic pie chart, yes. My grandmother was a francophone, so it's like that close. And I'm like, I'm putting my son in. Could you delete the pizza just submitted? Yeah, I will. Not right now. I'm in the middle of work. I'm putting my kid through French immersion school and stuff like that. So it's all part of my part of my ethnic stuff. Mr. B and I are friends to the point where we've what's it called? We've just spent time together. No YouTube, nothing. I've what's it called? I know his wife. I don't remember. I don't think she said her name publicly. But his wife and 2 daughters, there's a time cuz he has an in-law that lives in Chicago, and I go and see my in-laws in Chicago at Christmas time. So there's one time, I think it was 2019 or 2018. I think it was 2018. He was in Chicago, and we went to the Museum of Science and Industry and stuff like that with his 2 little girls who are they're really small, and it was just a great day. Do I eat poutine? No, because it's very unhealthy. And I'm trying to eat healthy. Where is he politically? Hard to pin down. I think he's he's generally a progressive. But I think he's a bit more into he was, if I remember correctly, he really liked what's his face in the primaries. He was really into oh my god, why is his name blanking on me? The what's it called? The guy who ran for mayor of New York, and he wanted to do public. He wanted to do basic income. I don't know why his name is completely blanking on me right now. Yang, yeah, he was into Andrew Yang. That was it. But that's the closest I know about his politics. All right. Should we have term limits? I can see the case for them, but I also can see that we may want a popular figurehead in office for as long as we want them. Yeah, there's also the other thing to factor in when it comes to anti-term limit stuff is that if you have term limits that are too short, then essentially by the time people figure out how to do stuff, they're leaving office, and that usually means that groups of unelected bureaucrats have a lot more power. I think that I am not against. I'm not against term limits because I think they are important. I think there is there is value to them, but I do think that in many ways they also do a little bit of harm. So I don't know. To me, I'm kind of against. If I want to go more hardcore on term limits, more than term limits, I would sortition-based leadership, where the people who are leading are not even the people who are, they don't even get to vote, or like they're not even elected. They're chosen by, it's like a democracy by choosing people randomly to be the leaders. I think that's more of a thing that I would be into. So I can see its value as like an anti-corruption thing, but I can also see their value in having people who are leaders who, have experience. But also, I don't think we should really have a lot of leaders. So maybe we should have a term limit of 0 years. That also makes sense to me. Who's messaging me? Who's sending me WhatsApp messages? It's my mother. And it's baby stuff. She's looking at strollers. And I'm like forgetting that I have to buy strollers. Something you should, like, what's it called? Sometime I should show you guys my old office, because my old office is now like completely full of like baby shit. I see people who see the recent anti-masker stuff as some fundamental flaw with humanity and not the result of a larger system of disinformation ideology. What's a good way to confront people with this kind of assumption? I would probably talk about the like thinking about where people's ideas come from. I would try to get somebody to explain in their, like, anytime I'm dealing with somebody who has some sort of fundamental belief that I don't share, I usually try to get them to, just through like asking them clarifying questions, get them to truly like figure out why they do the things they do, why they have why they believe the things they believe. And if you get down to the core of it, you could probably find something to work on. Finland confirms social democracy works. Okay, cool. Thanks, J-Lord. Thank you for the 2 Aussie dollars. Social democracy is, I guess, an okay half measure, but, the whole thing about the means production being held in the hands of private capitalists is still a plague upon our existence, and we need to stop the exploitation of the people by taking it back from them. I want to see a new edition of the board game Pandemic that factors in disinformation and death cults. That would be pretty cool. How about saying he has supermajority of 60% to stay in office to counteract the incumbency advantage? I mean, at that point, you're just splitting hairs over, like, do you want your evil ruler to have this kind of control or this kind of control? Like, the problem is that there are leaders that exist, and we should probably not have those. The other thing too is that misinformation and like anti-vaccine, anti-mask things are intent. Like the anti-vaccine thing has been a project that's been in development for decades, and this is just them having like a moment. And you can see like the whole through line through it and everything too. Alright, could a potential answer to the Fermi paradox be that a sapient species needs to have a very specific set of resources in their environment in order for their technological development to go down a path that will lead to stuff like radios and space travel? Yes, for sure. On the Speculative Evolution blog I follow, there's a post about an intelligent species that never discover metallurgy because they live in a wet environment on a planet with no trees, meaning they really can't make fires hot enough to forge stuff. They only ever use tech made from stone, bone, and woven grass. It's hard to imagine that ever leading to stuff like electronics and heat engines the way metallurgy ultimately did for humans. Yeah? Yeah, it makes sense to me. I mentioned that in the episode, just not by name. It was sort of like, there is also the idea that they never develop high technology, that some sort of block leads to that, like a great filter that leads to. And it could be, yeah, that not a lot of planets have the resources that we have or something. I think it's like a useful, it's a possible explanation. I don't think it's the explanation. I don't think it's a Fermi paradox solution, Would this be a good concept for a sci-fi story? Someone invents a time machine and decides to test it by going to AD 255 Rome. But when they get there, they find that the 3rd century Earth was being bombarded with signals from an alien civilization, but no one knew because radios didn't exist yet. It's an interesting premise. I would need to think, like, that's not really the concept for something. That is like the opening act for something. So what the next step of that would have been would shape it. But you are mixing your like first contact story and your time travel story. And you'd have to find for some way for those two ideas to really intersect in a way that's interesting. Ooh. And there you go. With 10 minutes to spare, I finished the big old list of things. Go me. I still got this streaming thing down. Hey, look. It's Wilso. Remember Wilso? My legally distinct friend? And my play button. Ooh, nice play button. And there's my anarchist flag. And look at all the room I have to shove more new shit into this setup. Remember Enterprise. Is it cruel to keep a dog on a spaceship with no backyard? I mean, maybe. People, yeah, a dog that can't go outside, that does seem kind of sad. Thoughts on Peter Coffett shit-talking Landback? I'm going to have to talk a little bit more about that at some other time. Because, yeah, the, like, sort of, like, Nazbol crowd shitting on Landback is very, very irritating, and shows that they have no like actual understanding of what Landback means, or it's just white people being reactionary when the idea of decolonization gets brought up. Is anarcho-primitivist something other than what Ted Kaczynski wrote about how now, because that book is trash? Anarcho-primitivism is it is an existing part of the anarchist movement. They're not huge, but essentially their philosophy boils down to the idea that hierarchies were born out of the agricultural revolution, and that technology has only existed to further create hierarchies. And so the anarchist society that we would need to build would basically be one where we would have to eschew technology for a more hunter-gatherer lifestyle, sort of going back to the time before the agricultural revolution. Which, like, there's some truth to the idea that, like, technology and sort of hierarchy have a sort of link like that. Like, the agricultural revolution and hierarchy do have some sort of link. But there are, like, any, like, talk about going back to a hunter-gatherer lifestyle implies a global population that is much smaller than it is today, and a world that is much less, much more hostile and possibly not, or in many cases not livable for people with disabilities, with different disabilities. Ranging from being very hostile to their life to being literally impossible for them to live. And honestly, I don't think any ideology is worth killing that many people over to make it work. So, yeah. Are you aware of the is it imperialism to tell brown people that they can't ethnically cleanse white people discourse? I watched a video by Professor Flowers on, I think something like that. And again, it was another like Vosh making these like absolutely asinine hypotheticals that have no basis in reality. And using that as part of like his... I mean, it's always been his like shitty debate tactic because he doesn't really care about getting to the truth or discussing things. He cares about projecting strength over others and dominating them on his stream because that's what his audience wants. Because his audience is attracted to power, not, you know, growing as people. So... found out that from Pim that apparently Vosh was invited to talk to some leftists kicked out of the Dutch Labour Party. I don't know much about. I don't know what the Dutch Labour Party is. I don't know what the deal with that is. Oh, man. So what should we talk about for the last, like, 3 or so minutes? Tristan for president. Oh boy. I would be an awful president. Presidents have to like work with people and have to like, you know, massage their ideas to get it through to different audiences, and I would be bad at that stuff. Join at the end of the stream again. Yeah, sadly. Let's talk about plants. They always make me helpful. Yeah, I obviously royally fucked up my garden this year because my neighborhood has a shit ton of black walnut trees that have basically poisoned the soil. And my neighborhood's also been taken over by squirrels that ate pretty much anything that grew. So next year I'm probably gonna have to do like raised beds with fucking like chicken wire fencing around it to keep the squirrels out. Is the phrase John Brown did nothing wrong a base take? It is a base take. Do you still think prepping is dumb? I did a video called I'm Becoming a Prepper and Here's Why. You should check out. It's pretty much sums up my take on the whole thing. I love squirrels. I love squirrels too. They just are kind of assholes when you have a garden. Raised beds are dope. You won't regret it. Yeah, I hope so. I hope to grow some more produce. I mean, I don't know. I'm probably going to have like no free time next year to do something like that, but it would be nice to do. I'm going to be like, what's it called? Raising a baby all next year. I don't think you get time to do stuff like that. I'm just hoping that I can watch, what's it called? I can watch all the Star Treks that are coming out while also, you know, raising a child. Yeah, black walnuts are pretty great. It's just that they are also... Black walnut trees release like a chemical into the soil that basically makes it impossible for things to grow unless they are heavily resistant to it. So the fact that there's like black walnuts, and also this time of year they're falling out of the trees. So if you're not careful, you can get clocked on the head by a walnut, which could hurt pretty bad. And they're like all over my neighborhood. I used to think attacking Columbus was presentism until I learned that he was regarded as a monster even in his time. Even the Spanish crown thought so. Yes, this is true. Are we stuck in DS9's episode Sanctuary in alternate 2024? Yeah, for real. God, I gotta watch that episode again. It was so fucking prescient. Anyways, it is 9 o'clock. It's time for me to move on with my evening. I've got a lot of D&D prep I gotta get finished tonight, so... let's see, who we got? Who we can raid? Yeah, we'll raid Lumiru. Why not? They're good value. Okay... Alrighty, everybody. I'll see you guys on Thursday. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one.